This is our Pastor's Corner teaching series, and we're going through the book of James, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. Today, for our passage, we're at James chapter 2, verses 1 to 13. So James chapter 2, verses 1 to 13. My brothers and sisters, believers in our glorious Lord Jesus must not show favoritism. Suppose a man comes into your meeting wearing a gold ring and fine clothes, and a poor man in filthy old clothes also comes in. If you show special attention to the man wearing fine clothes and say, "Here's a good seat for you," but say to the poor man, "You stand there," or "Sit on the floor by my feet," have you not discriminated among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? Listen, my dear brothers and sisters, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith and to inherit the kingdom he promised to those who love him? But you have dishonored the poor. Is it not the rich who are exploiting you? Are they not the ones who are dragging you into court? Are they not the ones who are blaspheming the noble name of him to whom you belong? If you really keep the royal law found in Scripture, love your neighbor as yourself, you're doing right. But if you show favoritism, you sin and are convicted by the law as lawbreakers. For whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. For he who said, "You shall not commit adultery," also said, "You shall not murder." If you do not commit adultery, but do commit murder, you have become a lawbreaker. Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. In this passage, I think James is giving us a simple yet difficult challenge. He says very plainly, don't show favoritism. Don't show partiality. Don't discriminate, especially against people's physical and outward appearance. See, one of our natural inclinations as people is that we're drawn to people who are similar to us, whether it's their physical appearance, whether it's their social status, whether it's their bank account. When people are similar to us, we tend to gravitate towards them. And James is reminding us not to live a life that just we're drawn to people who are our favorites all the time. Imagine if someone asked, I have 3 kids of my own, and if someone came to me in front of them and said, "Which one is my favorite child?" Obviously, that would be detrimental to our relationship as parent and child. It would be detrimental to their own physical and psychological and emotional well-being. So he's saying, just don't show favorites. You know, one of the things I'm always really concerned about as a pastor is when I see celebrities becoming Christians. Now, I'm not going to judge whether or not you're a Christian, and I'm not going to judge why it's good that a celebrity becomes a Christian. But we often, as Christians, celebrate when well-known people of great status are Christians, and yet we rarely celebrate when the average person comes to faith. And it's this idea of celebrity culture. And that's one of the things that James is tackling here in this, is that we have this favoritism towards people with greater status, or the idea of celebrity, and somehow that's going to be a benefit to our faith. We should be celebrating anyone who comes to faith, whether they're rich or poor, whether they're famous or not famous, whether they're a law-abiding citizen or a person in prison. We should be celebrating when someone comes to faith. There should be no partiality to that. So why? Why shouldn't we show favoritism? Why shouldn't we show partiality? Well, the first thing that James is addressing is the fact that showing favoritism is not part of God's great plan. It's not a part of his redemption plan. See, the idea he uses then is he compares rich and poor people. He's not talking about whether it's good to be rich, and he's not criticizing if you are rich. He's not promoting someone who's poor. He's actually talking about our own perception, our own heart when it comes to people who are rich and who are poor. He's talking about what do I see? What do I do when I approach someone, when I see someone who is rich or when they're poor? And here's the thing he's saying to us. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when we come to faith, Christ is all the rich that we need. Christ is all the riches that we would need. Whether you have a lot in your bank account or nothing in your bank account, Christ is the great riches that we would receive. And the idea is simple. God came to save and to love the unworthy. You and I, we are just unworthy. No matter what we do, we will never pay God back for what he's done for us. We can never repay him. So it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, is what James is looking at here as his illustration, but it also is something to challenge us and to think, again, don't treat people differently because of their physical appearance or because of their social standing or the size of their bank account. Don't treat people differently because of the way they dress or the way they look, because faith doesn't have partiality. God rescues all of us. We're all unworthy. We're all in this same boat. None of us, no matter how much we have, can ever repay God. I often try to wonder why we treat people with more money differently. I think we have this weird concept in our head sometimes that somehow we can always pay back God. We can give back to God. And so if there's this exchange all the time, it's a transactional relationship. Somehow that means if I can give back to God, the more that I have, God would show favor upon me. And the other way too, that if I have more, that means somehow God has shown favor on me. And that couldn't be further from the truth. At the end of the day, you and I are all in the same boat. We are simply unable to ever repay God for what he has done. And so that's why we shouldn't have favoritism. That's why we're not supposed to show partiality. That's why we're not supposed to discriminate. It's not that one person's social standing is better than another. You can't repay God with that. It's not that one ethnic group is better than another. You can't repay God with that. So James continues to challenge us by saying, if you show favoritism, it's a sin. And in fact, by showing favoritism, you're breaking the law of God. But what is the law of God? Well, some people speculate that it's the entire Old Testament, which could be the case, but it's, I think, very simple. God has a very simple law. Love God, love others. Love God, love others. Now here's the reality. If we show favoritism, we're not really loving others. We create our own standards of judgment. We create a standard of what we will accept and not accept. Our love will then be conditional, and that's not the way God is doing things. So showing favoritism is not part of God's law. It's not part of his program of love for people. And then the third thing that he challenges us with then, why we shouldn't show favoritism or partiality, is the very fact that it's not in line with God's mercy. He ends this section in the last paragraph with this idea of how we judge and whether we judge with mercy or will receive mercy or not, but according to the way we judge. And it's a very challenging paragraph. It's a very challenging statement. He's really promoting the idea of mercy, God's great mercy that he gave us. You and I, again, we don't deserve anything, and yet God would treat us the way he treats us, and he now instructs us and he challenges us to also go and do the same to everyone else that we encounter. We're supposed to judge people, and you know how we're supposed to judge people? With great mercy. We're supposed to judge people with tremendous mercy, because that is the way God has treated us. James in that last paragraph is inviting us to judge. He's inviting us to judge, though, with mercy, because people who judge with mercy understand the gospel. But most of us in this day and age, we judge based on performance. We judge based on the outside. And if we do that, we don't understand the way the gospel works. And so that's what James is challenging us to do. So again, at the end of all this, we're supposed to not show favoritism. We're not supposed to show partiality. We're not supposed to discriminate, because it's not the way God would want us to live. It's not how God treated us. It doesn't go in with God's plan about loving yourself and treating yourself the way others should be treated. And it's not part of God's great mercy plan. What do you do with all of this? I want to encourage you to think through a couple things this week as you go about life. How do we treat other people? How do we show partiality or not? Maybe in our heart of hearts, we do have some issues with race and discrimination. Maybe we need to examine that and bring that forth. Maybe you have a neighbor on your street that you just look at them because they're different. And again, the reminder is this, that we're not supposed to show favoritism. Maybe there's a person in your own circle, whether it's in your small group or in your church, that you're just treating differently because they have something that you don't. They have more money, they have more status, they have something that you're trying to attain, and you treat them differently, whether positively or negatively. I think it's time to reevaluate that. And so this is one of the things that excites me about our church, is that we've been examining this. We've been looking and saying, hey, this thing called church and this thing called the gospel, it has no boundaries. It doesn't discriminate whether you're rich or poor, whether whatever your ethnicity is, whether your social status, your marital status, whether you have kids, how old you are. The gospel doesn't discriminate on any of this. And that's one of the challenges we like to present always with our church. How do we treat people with this gospel? Because if we show favorites, if we treat people better because based on their outward appearance, if we favor one ethnic group over another, if we favor a size of a bank account over another, then we're really not living the gospel. And this is the challenge of James by saying, don't show favoritism. That's it for me this week on Pastor's Corner, our teaching series. Tune in next time as we continue on this journey through the book of James. Love and peace.